Alright, so we back with another video, man. I gave y'all, well, I don't know what's coming out first. Either the head coach, quarterbacks. I ranked all those before this game. That's before any week 10 game. So if I drop one of those after, that is not my fault. Because what I'm watching today, that was generationally bad. But we got to rank these teams. We got to rank them offensively. I ranked the teams last week. If you haven't watched that, go watch that. Today we will be ranking every single offense in the league. Now, with that being said, we're ranking every single offense in the league. So when it comes with that, we gotta rank the bad ones and we gotta rank the good ones. So we're gonna be going game by game. Thursday night games actually been kind of getting a little bit better this year. This one was by far probably the worst one of the season. Y'all do want more of these though. Like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff out the way. Let's hop into it. Alright, hopping into it. We're going back to our regular rankings. The best, elite, great, good, mid, trash. No more of that 1 to 32. We got a lot of that out the way. Let's just go ahead and get into it. We had the Raiders versus the Broncos on Thursday night, man. If I could get my time back from watching this game, I could. But I got to get these videos out to y'all boys. So we had to watch this game start to finish. Coming off of what happened Sunday, you would think the Raiders is going to be looking up. You know, Jaguars been a pretty solid defense all season. Offensively, the Jaguars been pretty up and down in terms of they've been able to move the ball consistently. In terms of scoring point, it's been pretty inconsistent. Raiders, you really felt like Brock Bowers being healthy, you going the other way. You did trade Jacoby Myers, all that good stuff. This might actually be the worst. Like Chip Kelly before this game, I didn't think he was doing that bad. I thought Geno, for the most part, without Brock Bowers, wasn't playing that good. With Brock Bowers, he's been pretty good the 2 games that he's had him. We had the third game. I take back everything. This was bad. The play call was bad. Geno took some pretty bad sacks. He had some throws. I'm going to be honest. Watching Geno today in comparison to the other quarterback, I can't even hate on Geno too much. Geno was dealing with some ignorance, bro. The O-line was bad. I'm going to be honest. If you watch this game in Prime Vision, because it's be on Amazon Prime, you kind of see the all-22 style. They were trying to make excuse for Bo Nix talking about he misses, like, he hits on 14% of his deep throws in the first 3 quarters, and then when it gets to the fourth, all those throws, he just magically starts hitting. I'm going to be real, bro. I'm going to keep it a beam. Like, that's cool and all, but that didn't happen. That didn't happen in this game. One thing you got to give credit for is the Raiders' defense, I guess. They played good defense. I don't think they were ever able to stop the run in this game. The only reason this game was even close is because the Broncos, Sean Payton, he wanted to try to showcase Bo Nix off in this game. It was literally no reason to abandon the run in this game at any point. Gay Dobbins was amazing in this game from start to finish, and they just kind of abandoned the run, to be real, until the end of the game when it was time to end the game. So, I don't really understand what was going on from a Broncos standpoint. There was one play. Now, this was a drop play. I don't know if this is on Bo Nix, but it was a missed throw. I think that this was supposed to be the wide receiver before Troy Franklin. Now, Troy Franklin should have caught the ball. But even if it wasn't, that route combo is not on Bo Nix. Why we got 2 guys going in the same area? They're literally in the same, running damn near the same route, just a little deeper. Yeah, that was not good. But he should have caught that. That pick wasn't really on Bo Nix. He really should have had another pick. He should have had a couple other picks in here, to be real. He was pretty bad. But more on the Raiders. Play calling for the Raiders today. This is by far the worst play calling I've seen out of the Raiders today. It was really, really bad. For Brock Bowers to go out there and only have 3 targets all game, really, really questionable. O-line play was really, really bad. And I kind of mentioned this early in the year. Like, when you have bad O-line play, you got to get rid of the ball fast. For whatever reason, I don't know. Like, bro got injured, and it was like it's like he wanted to hold on the ball longer. I'm not going to knock Geno, though. Because I'm going to be honest, accuracy-wise, it wasn't even close between the 2 quarterbacks. It wasn't even close. The accuracy wasn't even comparable. So I got to give Geno at least that. But outside of that, reading the field, oh my goodness, it was crazy. And then when you watch, the worst thing is when you have Prime Vision, you can actually see the people that's open. It wasn't as many people getting open for Geno as it was for Bo. But all Knicks had people open almost all night. All night. It was actually kind of crazy. Genty, I don't really know. Genty had some plays where he had some pretty bad vision. Where he would hit the outside instead of just going up the middle. Sometimes he could have had a better game today, but the O-line is not good. So at this point, I'm just moving on around from the Raiders. I'm gonna just say the Raiders are mid, might even be trash, but that is a very good defense they played today. So you gotta give them that, at least that credit. The Broncos have a really good defense. A lot of people like talking about Nick Bonito and the other edge. I want to keep it a bean. I think that this is kind of more so a scheme thing, more so than it is these players that they have defensively. I do think these players are good, but I don't think they're to the level of to be in the conversation as the best edge in the league. I don't think we. I like Nick Bonito, but I don't think he's at that level personally because it was plays he was out the game and the pressure didn't stop. And yeah, I'm gonna keep it a bean. Like the Broncos, they get pressure at a really really high rate with blitzes, disguise coverages. It's not just the edges being that level. They are good, but they get pressure at all phases. So I do think that defense is just very, very good. And yeah, they did a good job today on the Raiders in the run game and in the pass game. Now, when it comes to the Broncos offense, this was a very, very bad showcase. This was very, very bad. Now, I've talked about Bo Nix being inconsistent. Watching this game, I should have probably had Bo Nix lower in that quarterback video. This was bad. This was very, very bad. Bro was reading the field bad. Aborting clean pockets was bad. Bro, this O-line was giving bro all day to throw. He was abandoning it. Bro, there is not really much to talk about here positive. I'm going to keep it a bean. The only thing I give him positive is that when he escaped the pocket, whether it was a clean pocket or not, he would keep his eyes downfield. He would draw the attention of defenders, and he would get plays off that. But this is one of those things where, like, I don't think people realize, like, just because you don't have a yard of separation, you're still open. A yard of separation is NFL open. This is not college where you're going to have 5 yards or people just wide open every play. And I'm going to be real, the Broncos, for the most part in this game, had people open all game. So, I'm going to be honest, Bo Nix had a really rough game. I don't even know what he does pre-snap. I'm going to keep it being. I don't think he's really reading anything. I don't think that's even his job to read much of anything pre-snap. Post-snap reading the field was really pretty bad. I do think that he did extend plays sometimes and give his guys opportunity to get even more open. But the accuracy was bad all over the field. It could be short. It could be intermediate. It could be it could be anywhere in the field. It was bad. The accuracy today was bad. And I be seeing Broncos fans talking about, and I really be having a lot to say about Caleb when he don't have the best games. But being real, I gotta be honest. They fans be trying to put him in convos with Caleb. I be pretty harsh on Caleb. Because a lot of people said he was a generational prospect. I never agree with the sentiment. But, bro, I be seeing a lot of Broncos fans try to put him in that convo. I'm going to be real. Bo Nix, I don't know if I've seen too many games out of Caleb where he was this bad. Like, Caleb will have games like this, but he'll have a flash of something. That's the thing with Caleb. He inconsistent, but he'll show you crazy flashes. Bo Nix didn't do anything in his game that was good. I'm going to keep it a bean. From what I've seen, he didn't really do anything. If anything, watching this game, the margin for error his defense gave him, it was literally 5, bro. It's teams that don't get 5 first half drives. This brother had 5 drives in the first half where he didn't get a first down. And he won the game. That is not a regular thing that quarterbacks have at all. At all. So, that was rough to watch. The play calling from the Broncos was really, it was bad, but I'm going to be real. Even though I'm saying, like, he's trying to prove Bo Nix is good, the plays they were calling, guys were open. He just wasn't making the plays, whether it be the accuracy or just not throwing the ball to the people. So, yeah, I'm going to say Broncos. That's a tough one. Broncos is a tough one. Because it's so inconsistent that it might be genuinely mid. But they have had some games where you could argue they're good. I don't think they've been as bad as they were today in any other game. Today was bad. Today was very, very bad. Like, and I don't even, like, even the run game, the O-line were very good, though. It really just came down today to the quarterback play. The quarterback play was genuinely that bad. And I actually like Bo Nix. That's the crazy part. When he was coming out of the draft, I was always like, he's very underrated. He remind me of guys like Dax. I think he could be a guy at that level going to the league. And then he got in the league. People just hate on him for everything he does and stuff like that. But today, especially with all the stuff I be saying about Broncos fans, you would think Broncos fans have the second coming of Patrick Mahomes coming. The way they be talking about Bo Nix. This was bad. And this is like the 4th week I've watched. I watched the Texans game. I gave him a benefit of doubt on that one because I think the Texans have the best defense in the league. The Jets game. The Jets at that point had not had a good defensive game pretty much the entirety of the season. That was very eye-opening. And it was another game that he had that it wasn't very good. Who was that against? Cincinnati was pretty... It wasn't that good to start, and in the end, it was really good. Who was that against? It was Houston, Jets, and somebody else. I don't think it was Philly. I don't know who else that was. So, I can't think of it, but to be real, yeah, this was not a great performance. The one thing I will give the Broncos and Bo Nix, the weapons aren't the best, but the thing is, they were open today. They were open. And I do think the run game was actually good today. The O-line was fantastic today. I think good might be a bit much. I genuinely do think good might be a bit much, man. I genuinely do think good might genuinely be a bit much. I'm trying to make sure that I'm not tripping on the Broncos. Honestly, I'll go good. Because they got some pretty solid performances against some good defenses. They got some pretty, they've been able to take advantage of bad defenses, in my opinion, until this game. I don't know how to really feel about the Raiders defense, by the way. Because they got some games where they've been very, very good, and they got some games where they've been bad. So it's got to be somewhere in the middle. I don't really know what that maybe that just means they're mid. I don't know. They did not play like a mid defense at all today. The Broncos made them look like they were damn near elite. I don't really know. I'm going to say Broncos good. But that was one game out of 9 games or 10 games. I gotta be for real. I'm gonna go good. All right, so we back. We gotta get to ranking more of these teams. Not a lot of these games. All the games from Sunday have now been played. Let's get into it. Early morning, 8:30 for me game. Really, honestly, I thought this was gonna probably be the best morning game that we've had so far. I think they have another one next week. I don't know how good it's gonna be. But honestly, I did not know the Falcons were 3-5. Falcons, I'm going to be real. Y'all got to let me know how y'all feeling about this season so far. Because this is back-to-back games that y'all could have won. Now, I don't think the Patriots game, y'all had as much control as this one. This one, y'all genuinely had control of. And we're going to get into it. Now, we're ranking offenses. But I'm also going to talk about a little bit about what happened in these games. Defensively, the Falcons were fantastic against the Colts. They just couldn't stop JT. Now, I have been saying the Colts this year remind me of the Lions. But this game, I'm not going to lie, I think I've been wrong. This is literally last year's Eagles team. The only thing I would say the difference is the offense is better than the defense. But if you look at how this offense plays, with the offensive line, the quarterback play, the weapons on the outside, with the running game, it's very similar. Now, I do think that this passing game is really, really predicated off of the run game. And I think the Eagles is like that similarly, but I do think the Eagles have a better quarterback and they have a better duo on the outside. But the thing is, that really makes it kind of make a lot of sense. This is the guy that came from the Eagles when they had that great Super Bowl run in 2023 when they lost. So it's not that crazy that it does remind me of it, but if you think about how this is a good defensive team that can really run the ball with a great old line, it very is similar. And this game was a very, very case in point of how the Eagles would win games last year. Now, I do think the defense for this Colts team is not as good as that Eagles team. That could be the difference. But today, I'm going to be real. The Falcons 100% deserve to win this game. But the quarterback play for the Falcons just was not good. And I think that the Falcons defense, the Falcons defense did enough to win this game. I don't think the Falcons as a team. I think Bijan didn't have that crazy of a game, but I don't really get the Bijan usage in this game. Like, the coach had a quote, I think it was before the Patriots game, where he believed Bijan was the best player in the world. And he was asked also in that same quote, if he's the best player in the world, why is he out the game on 3rd and 4th down in a crucial game? And I'm going to be real. Algier is very good. And they have a lot of these plays where they have Bijan and Algier in the game. But there were some plays today where Bijan was just out the game. I like the way that they use Drake London and Bijan for the most part of the year, but I don't know. It's very weird to me how they were using them. But Penix, it is a very, very big issue at this point. I think Penix is actually a solid quarterback. I can't say he's a good quarterback because as soon as there's any semblance of pressure, as soon as there is a remote blitz, the play is done. Last week they tried to blame players on defense communicating with each other. So they started clapping at each other because they were doing a motion. So he was trying to get the attention of his teammate. They were trying to say that the Patriots simulated the snap. And the brother was 20 yards away. Brother, anytime you blitz Penix, it is a freak out. It is genuinely just a freak out. And I said last week, I would rather him just run forward and just not take a huge sack. Because a lot of these plays when he's throwing the ball, he's literally just launching the ball. He's not even giving anybody a chance. Like it's gonna almost be guaranteed the intentional grounding every week. If teams blitz to the level that the Colts was doing, it's just GG's for you, bro. I'm sorry. Now, yeah, that was just unfortunate. I think Penix had a really, really bad second half. First half, he wasn't that bad. But as they started to blitz more, it just got worse and worse. And they just could not sustain drives in this game because of that one little fact. So they had 2 good drives in that second half, to be real. And that last drive was very, very good out of them. But it's just hard to win games when you just all it takes is they don't even have to do much on the back end behind the blitz. You just got to get a blitz in where he's going to get any type of pressure. So I'm going to say Falcons offense is still good to me. I would arguably say it's better than the Broncos. Yeah, I would say it's better than the Broncos personally. But it's really more so on talent. If you watch these games and they do kind of troll some drives, whether it be Penix with the blitz or just questionable things that they do at the end of these drives to go from either just not getting 7 points consistently to just only getting 3. But I do think Drake London has been very, very good again this week. But it's only so much you can do about it and good. Then on the other side, like I said, I think the Falcons had a really good defensive game in this game. I don't think Daniel Jones had the best game of the season, but he was very good in the clutch. But JT was the big, come on. I do think, honestly, if you watch this game, that O-line was ridiculous, but JT was ridiculous. And people saying that JT is having a season that we haven't seen recently, I just don't agree. I think JT has been phenomenal. I think he has, but I think 2020, whatever year, I don't know if I guess that's 2023. So I said that wrong year for the Eagles, because if 2023 is the year that the 49ers made the Super Bowl, whatever the year that the Eagles made the Super Bowl is the year I was talking about with Shane Steichen. But that year that the 49ers made the Super Bowl, I don't think that was a good quarterback year at all. I thought CMC should have got it. Last year, I said it was a great year for a lot of quarterbacks, but I still thought Saquon was the MVP. This year, you can say the same thing about JT. I don't think the quarterback play at the top is at the same level of last year, statistically at least. But I think JT definitely has a shout, to be real. But I don't think it's by far the best running back performance we've seen. I think he's getting touchdowns. I think Saquon got a lot of touchdowns last year taken away because that's just how the Eagles play. Like, they have pretty much a guaranteed 1 or 2 yard play that's going to get them consistent touchdowns. So you can't really knock Saquon for that because he's on a team with one of the most unstoppable plays of all time. So you can't really knock him for that. But you got to give JT his credit because he's very, very good this year. So I would say the Colts, I don't think they've been the best because these last 2 weeks, like I said, I think these defenses from the Steelers and the Falcons, for the most part, they did the job. I think if the Falcons could have sustained drives in this game, I don't think they'd get over 20 points in this game. But because Penix was so bad in that second half, they just couldn't stay on the field. They couldn't sustain drives. The Colts just got way too many opportunities. Way, way too many opportunities. So, yeah, I'm going to give them elite for sure still. But I do think these last 2 weeks, way Daniel Jones had looked in points of this game, I think that is a outlook in the playoffs that could be very interesting, which is why I do most of the time compare them to the Lions instead of the Eagles, because I just don't trust that this is a team that can win in the playoffs because of the quarterback, to be real. And I like Daniel Jones, but it's just being honest. Then we have some of the 12 o'clock games. We got the Panthers and the Saints. I talked about this last week. Panthers is one of those teams that can win against one of the best teams in the league. Last year, at the end of the year, you saw them be competitive with a great Bucs team, a great Eagles team, a great Chiefs team. It was very good competitive at the end of the year last year. Very, very competitive. This year, they started to win more of those games. You got to give Canales a lot of credit for that. And I don't think that this is that much more talented of a team the past 2 years, to be real. But today was the flip side of what I said, how inconsistent this team can be. They can beat some of those top teams, but they can lose some of those worst teams in the league. It is very, 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 very painful if you are a Panthers fan watching this team lose this game. Because they had, you think about it, the Buccaneers lost today, the Falcons lost today. The Panthers are playing a tanking Saints team. Now, I won't lie, I was pretty high on Suge in the draft compared to a lot of people. And the way Rattler had been playing, I thought he was playing pretty good. But defensively, they didn't win because of offense. I think Suge had a solid game, but they didn't win because of the offense. I think the Panthers actually had a pretty solid defensive game. I think that offensively, I'm going to be real, Bryce Young, I think Ted has been, if you watch these games, Ted has been a lot better than I honestly expected him to be. He's been very good. It's just, when it comes to it, Bryce Young, he got to be better. He at the end of the day, he got to be better, and he has not been that. So, I think Rico Dotto situation is giving them a little bit more, I guess, understanding of what they're going to be trying to do week in, week out, for the most part. But, yeah, I'm going to just say it wasn't that good to me from out of them. I'm going to say mid. I'm going to say mid, right there with the Raiders, personally. Because I don't think they played the same level of defense as the Raiders played this week. And they had a worse performance, which is kind of crazy to say. But it kind of is true. Then you have the Saints. I think the Saints' offense have actually been a lot better than what people want to say for the most part all season. I don't know. I don't know. When they go to the Saints, they have been very, very weird to rank this year. I'm going to say mid. They've actually not been awful offensively all year. I don't think the offense has been an issue. I just think this team is just not talented enough to win a lot of these games. But for the most part, I don't think the Saints' offense has let them down. For the most part, they've been pretty competitive in a lot of these games. They just record just... This is kind of what you want to be if you're a bad team. Be competitive, but lose. Now, if you're a fan of these teams, do you want to actually lose? No. But if you're not that talented, it's got to be a give and take. And if you lose games, it's not the NBA where you have a lottery that control you. You lose games, you pretty much going to be guaranteed that pick. So, this win could hurt the Saints in the long run, but I'm going to be honest, Saints win a divisional game. I mean, it's only so negative you can be, especially when you got your second-round rookie having getting his first win. So, and his first start, too. So, yeah. Then we have the Browns and the Jets. Now, this one was very shocking. Now, the thing with this one, I don't even know how much they even killed the Browns for in this one, because the Browns going into this game, no one thought they had a good offense. But the game script got away from them for how they wanted to play, because they started the game with a kickoff return. They followed it up with a punt return TD. That has now given the Jets 14 free points. To get, like, not free, but you know what I mean. It now gave that Jets offense that's going against that great Browns defense, and that a thing that they can look at. And I think the Browns defense was fantastic in this game. You look at Fields. Fields had 54 total yards in this game. He had a 44-yard screen pass touchdown to Breece Hall. You take away that touchdown, the brother had 10 yards passing. So you can't say that. It's kind of hard to gauge how bad the Browns were in this game. I think that the Jets kind of just came out and surprised them. This is one of those games that, you know, it was a couple like this today, to be real. But I'm going to say the Browns are trash offensively. It is what it is. I think they didn't even have a bad offensive game today. I think for the most part, if the Browns, If the Browns go out there and score 20 points, a lot of these games they win. They just happen to give up 14 points through special teams. And that's just what it is at the end of the day. That was kind of the difference in the game. And they end up going to trash regardless of what would have happened, probably because they have not been good this year. Their run game has been inconsistent. I like Judkins, but for the most part, their O-line has been bad. Quarterback seems like a backup quarterback. They really don't have no weapons regardless. It's just not a good situation, in my opinion. Stefanski probably gets fired. I don't think Stefanski is that bad of a coach, but I think the time has kind of passed with him in the Browns, to be real. Then you have the Jets. I would argue the Jets, even with them winning this game, they showcase little to nothing in this game. Garrett Wilson does get injured in this game. Fields had a really, really interesting game passing the ball. Like, it's a really good pass defense, though, to be real. And then offensively, and then run game, Breece Hall is Breece Hall. You know, it's just what it is. That's Breece Hall. But all in all, it wasn't, it wasn't a big time offensive game. It was really the special teams kind of saved the day. I don't even think the defense had a great day because if you give up 20 points to the Browns, I don't think that's a great game in my opinion. But I would say trash. I would say both of those teams in trash. Jaguars. Now, there's another team that did kind of. Now, this game, a lot of Jaguars fans like to bring this playoff game up against Herbert. But if you think about what happened in that first half against that Chargers game, pretty much similar game in this one, where the Texans started the game off with like 2 or 3 turnovers. I think it was 2 straight drives that ended in turnovers. Jaguars getting great field position. They're getting 10 free points. They're getting a punt return. They got a good lead off of that. And then in the fourth quarter, they just choked the entire game away. Now, one thing I will give Trevor Lawrence, I've been kind of rough on him, tough on him this year, but his 2 best wide receivers are out. I do like Parker Washington, but his 2 best wide receivers are out. So, and they're playing who I think is the best defense in the league. So you got to give him credit for that. I think ETN had one of his better games of the season, but for the most part, not so much you can really say. I don't want to go too hard on them for this one. They did choke this one, but I do think if you think about how the Jaguars have been this year, they've been pretty good against a lot of teams so far this year. Now, this is the second game they played the Texans. Now, this game had pretty big circumstances for I think how the season gonna wear off after this game because Jaguars was in the driver's seat of this game for the most part. You think about every wild card team in the AFC, the Bills beat the Chiefs, the Jaguars beat the Chiefs, the Chargers beat the Chiefs, and that's in a division. And you already have one team in your division that beat you. The Broncos, I believe, also beat the Chiefs. That's the number 1 seed in your division. It was looking kind of tough for the Chiefs to really fight their way into that wild card. But with them, the Jaguars losing, you almost have a guaranteed spot now for the Chiefs because I don't know how many losses the Chiefs going to lose or games the Chiefs going to lose, obviously is what I meant. And when it comes to the Jaguars on the other end, they're going the other way with injuries on both sides of the ball. This is probably going to be a situation that kind of just regresses to the mean where they were winning games that probably they weren't better than the other team, but they outplayed the other team for that game. Very good coaching games. But as you start get these injuries, you can probably see it go the other way. I think last year the season was kind of trolled by injuries as well, but that ended up having them get a higher pick than they probably should have. But I think if their season goes the other way, I think they do have their coach, to be real. I think they've been very well coached pretty much every game. It just was unfortunate what happened today against the Texans where you got walked down by Davis Mills. Defensively, you can talk about that however you want. I don't think that this is a good offense, though, to be real. I don't think that they've showcased enough. But I do think if you look back to, was it the Titans? The Titans game to now, they've only had really one rocky game, and that was against the Seahawks. But the Seahawks, if you've been watching the Seahawks been very, very, very interesting to watch every week. We are going to talk about that. But, yeah, I'm going to say the Texans mid offense for the most part. I do think that they have been turning the corner. Before that, they were clear-cut trash. They have no run game, no O-line. Passing game was very inconsistent. Or not very inconsistent. It was just bad. Now, the passing game is inconsistent. Your running game has gotten better. Your O-line is still bad. But your passing game has got better. Your running game has got better. So, I do see the upside, especially if Stroud is playing. But I think Davis Mills actually played good in this game, especially in the second half. So, you got to give Davis Mills his credit. I do think Davis Mills, even before they picked Stroud, was kind of underrated. He was not as bad as people acted like. But I'm glad to see him actually, get his chance and actually Do something with it. Then this is another one of those games that's like, this was honestly a very unfortunate loss for the Giants. But if you are a Giants fan, honestly, you're kind of upset or sad because of the Jackson Dart injury. But honestly, best case scenario for y'all, Neighbors comes back next year, Scatterbo comes back next year, Dart comes back. I don't know how long he's gonna be out, but you get a high pick, your team is gonna be better because you still got on the other side who hasn't been that great, to be real, Abdul Carter. Like, I'm not gonna lie, if it wasn't for Dart getting traded up and playing the way he's played, Dart, I'm gonna be honest, I'd be tough on Dart because I do think the scheme has been very good. But Dart, hey, at this point, bro, you gotta just sit back and just look at it, bro. He is in a very bad situation. He is scoring points every week, every single week. So you gotta give him credit. And I always say, I said before the season, I thought the Giants was gonna be a much better team than people think. They just have a very tough schedule. This was a game they should have won. This was a game that they had won. Dart gets injured, the game flips. Now you gotta give credit to the Bears. They played awfully for 2.5 quarters. After that 2.5 quarters, though, Dart gets injured. Caleb starts turning up. The rest is history. So you got to give credit to the Bears for being clutch on both sides, but also I do think the Dart injury had a lot to do with it. But this is not the first time the Giants have blown a big game at the end of the game. So they kind of been doing this all year. Defensively, you kind of got to be looking at your DC defensive coordinator, because what the hell are we doing in these games for us to play this good a defense for this long? And then in the fourth quarter, it just falls apart. Like, at a certain point, the injury does mean something, but the defense completely has now fallen apart a couple too many times in the fourth quarter of these games. But this is an offense tier list. I'm going to have to say the Giants, even without the productivity that you would really expect out of a run game, out of the receivers, whatever want to stay on the outside, I think the scheme and play calling has been good. And even when the scheme and play calling isn't work, Dart has done enough. I would say they've actually been a good offense, no matter who they've played. You think about the defenses they played, they put points up against. They've been very consistent. So, I think the Giants have just been a good offense. I think that's just a good offense at this point. And I don't think that's too much of a hot take to say. And I think a large part due to the quarterback play. Now, you seen the moment that Dart went out, Russell Wilson went in. That's why I'm like, I can't even go too crazy on the scheme anymore, because this is a clear, like, quarterback just playing above. Like, he's improving the entire unit of the team. The scheme looks better. The play calling looks better. The weapons on the outside look better. The run game looks better. The O-line looks better. Everything looks better when Dart's in the game. So, you got to give a lot of credit to the quarterback play at that point, and I think that's been good. But if he's not playing, that is a trash offense. That is a genuine trash offense. So, that is tough. But he's played majority of the games this year. I think we can give him that credit. Then we have the Bears. The Bears actually, play calling, play design, scheme, they've been up there. They've been up there. I don't know how Bears fans feel about it. I do think that I've been talking about this, the inconsistency on both sides of the ball from the players and execution has been very, very bad. But the play calling, scheme, design has been very, very good. The timing has been very, very good on both sides. I will say there's been some very weird timeouts, very weird situational football from the Bears on both sides of the ball at times, but for the most part, they have gotten better with that every week, I would say. So I do think that this was just like I said, if you being a Giants fan, you can look at it on the positive, because y'all are not going to be a good team. Maybe you win a game like this, and now you're looking like the Saints, where you are not a team that really need to be winning, and now you got to win now. That's not even a divisional rival. You just take your loss, get a higher pick, you know what I'm saying? Teams around you that's like not having a good season, like the Dolphins and the Saints, win, your draft pick gets better, you know? So, yeah, I think that you can take the positive from this if you are a Giants fan. If you're a Bears fan, this is a win that is much needed. You cannot lose games like this, to be real, if you want to be taken serious in this league. I do think that the offense has been pretty mid. I would say, honestly, but the Giants didn't put up 40. It's the Bengals, though. When the Giants played a team like the Cowboys with Russell Wilson, they put up 37 points. They put up 30 points on the Broncos. I don't think the Bears have done anything close to that. So the Bears is a tough one, because I do think that the play calling has been very good. I've talked about the quarterback play, very, very up and down. You don't know what you're gonna get. In the clutch, he's been pretty solid. Out of structure, he's elite. He's just elite. When it comes to just playing within playing on time, that's when it gets questionable with Caleb, which is so wild. He is one of the he's one of the worst quarterbacks to try to talk about because you don't really know what to say. It's like he's very, very good at a lot of things, but he's very, very bad at some important things that it takes to be a quarterback. So I don't know. I would say because I do think that the Giants don't have much outside of Dart, I would give them above them. I would say the Bears have been better than the Broncos offense as well. I would honestly say they've been better than them, and the Falcons are really debatable. I'm gonna say there. I do think that they've had probably the best play calling in this tier, even over the Jaguars. I just think the Jaguars, the coaching that the Jaguars have done, it goes beyond just like guru stuff. He's like the situational football, especially early in the season, was almost not perfect, but for a first year coach, it was damn near. You know. Then we have the Bills. This was a tough loss. I'm gonna say the Bills are great. This is what my concern. Again, I keep harping on it. People not gonna like it. I think Josh Allen has to do too much on this team. Now, Josh Allen, he did this last year. And that's why I was saying he has to do too much last year, and he was doing it at an all-time level where he wasn't turning the ball over. He's still getting his 40 touchdowns, and is getting wins with pretty much no weapons. James Cook is better this year, but the weapons on the outside are still bad. The offensive line is still good, but the weapons on the outside are still bad. And if Dalton Kincaid is injured, your best thing that you really have was your tight end outlets. Like, if you watch that Chiefs game, they really weren't even working through the wide receivers. It was really all tight ends. Every single deep play, the issue with this team, they have to be so methodical, and every single play that they had deep was to a tight end. Like, it's just what it is. It makes sense because they want to run the ball to be able to play heavy like that. But, man, I don't think that this is a sustainable way of winning. And you can lose games like this. Now, if you look at the Bills, I'm going to be honest, I don't think this is – it's a surprising loss. But I don't think it is as big of a deal as people act like that the Bills lost. Because the Bills, honestly, are just not that good. They're just not. Defensively, I've said this for time. McDermott kind of make up for a lot of these issues defensively. But it's not that talented. I think this year it is improved over the past couple years for sure, but it's not that talented. Offensively, you got Josh Allen, you got James Cook. I like Joe Brady, but the offense outside of two players is not that good. And I do like the offensive line, but the weapons on the outside are just not it. So when you think about it early in the year, if you really think about it, the Dolphins outplayed them in that game. The Dolphins outplayed them in that game, and the Bills just got away with the win. This game, the Dolphins outplayed them the whole game. So, it's just, if you watch the game, it wasn't even really a close game. It wasn't even a debatable thing. The Dolphins were genuinely the better team in this game. And that's what I'm saying when it comes to the Dolphins. They don't have a real head coach, but they have an offensive guru. That man is a special coach offensively. He has Tua out there, and Tua had a bad game. Tua was worse than Josh Allen in this game. And it didn't matter. Because they just was able to put up points. And I don't know. This game honestly made me think kind of like, I don't know how to feel about that Chiefs game no more, to be real. Because that Chiefs game, they played fantastic on both sides of the ball. They were this was like the first game all year they was able to connect on deep balls consistently. I'm not saying they never had deep plays, but they were doing it consistently against the Chiefs. Consistently. And the Chiefs are a good defense. If you've been watching the Chiefs when they played any of these other top teams that they played, they were very good defensively. Offense was the issue, but even in those games that you could even say, majority of those, they didn't have Rashee Rice and Worthy. So for them to go out there and play that way on both sides of the ball was very, very shocking because I thought the Chiefs at that point was the best team in football. I probably still would say they have a debate for it. But to go out there and lose this game to the Dolphins, I can't say you're elite, bro. I'm going to be real. I think there's just too many flaws with your offense that I can't say. The only way you can really argue with being elite is Josh Allen. And Josh Allen, if we looking at really his honestly, if you're looking at Josh Allen for Josh Allen standards this year, he's not having a Josh Allen season. I guess you could because he's going to get his touchdowns. And maybe you could say he's going to get his touchdowns. He's going to get his turnovers. He is having a Josh Allen year in some aspects. But when he's having these turnovers, it's not, I don't know. It's not the consistent possession to possession Josh Allen, if that makes sense. Like, a lot of these drives in this game, it was multiple 3-and-outs against the Dolphins defense. I don't know if y'all noticed or not. The Dolphins have a very bad defense this year, and the Bills were struggling to sustain drives against it. Against it, like I'm sorry, I just can't go too far on them personally. I do think it is high end great to low end elite, but the offense is just too inconsistent game in, game out for me, personally. Now, they have been able to score points for the most part this year, but I may be being tough on them, but it's just being honest. Next, we got the Dolphins, though. I would say, honestly, the Dolphins have been a good offense for the most part of the year. I'm not going to go too far on them. I think they've been a good offense. I think the defense has been the bigger issue. Defense and Tua have been the bigger issue, but I think for the most part, they've had a pretty solid year. Especially when you put the context of Tyreek being out. They've had a pretty good year, so yeah, I would say good. Vikings, I'm just at a loss for words with J.J. McCarthy at this point. I don't really know how to really gauge it. Justin Jefferson, he just kind of name value at this point. He's still very, very good. He has not had a good year this year. If you've been watching Justin Jefferson, last year I think he was a little overrated a little bit too. Like, a lot of people still trying to put him in wide receiver, the best wide receiver in the world conversations. I don't think it was even close. Personally, I thought it was clearly Chase last year. And then this year, people still try to put him in those conversations. And if you watch these Vikings games, I think that one thing I would give Justin Jefferson credit for before this game is that effort and leadership. He has been very, very good this year. Today, against the Ravens, it was bad. It was genuinely bad. It was like a lot of plays, the effort was awful. Multiple plays where it felt like he kind of was quitting on the play, quitting on the team. It really just was a uncharacteristic game out of Justin Jefferson, personally, offensively. But I will still say, regardless of what you want to talk about Justin Jefferson, I think that the offensive line has been rocky this year. I won't lie. But the weapons on the outside are still one of the best trio of weapons you can possibly have in the league, with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and T.J. Hockenson. I do think that they need to improve this run game drastically, but the quarterback play has not been good this year. J.J. McCarthy has been up and down. Last week, honestly, the bar is in hell. I was gassing for a performance that he really didn't have to do much in. Like, if that was Bryce Young, I would have been tough on him. And the thing is, Bryce Young, I actually believe in. I actually liked him coming into the draft. I just thought he was short. The thing with J.J. McCarthy is I always have my question marks about him. So it's like, and then when I've seen him, he's been bad. And then he showed me anything positive when you want to talk about the fourth quarter against the Bears. And then last week against the Lions, that was a big game for them. I do think it is very tough. So, I don't know. J.J. McCarthy has not been good. The Vikings have genuinely been mid offensively. They've genuinely been mid. I don't even think, like I said last week, I think Aiden O'Connell had his best coach game. Brian Flores had his best coach game this week. I think kind of got back to the norm where it was just very inconsistent on both sides, play calling wise. So, yeah. Especially for the bar I have Aiden O'Connell at. I think of all that. Yeah, let's keep moving though. We got the Ravens. When Lamar plays, is a shout for the best offense in the league. When he doesn't play, it's a mid offense, to be real. I do think that last game against the Bears was pretty good, though. But outside of that one game, it was probably trash, to be real. It was probably trash. So I got to probably put it, if we ranking it off the whole season, I got to probably put it somewhere in the middle. I would say I believe in the Ravens offense more than the Bills. It's not really a reason for it, to be real, because I do think that the Ravens, with the injury to Lamar, they've been more inconsistent. But when Lamar's played, they've been, if you watch these games, they've had their flaws as well. But I just believe in their weapons more than I believe in the Bills, to be real. I don't think Lamar has been that good either, to be honest, this year. To be completely honest. And I know I don't really get the Lamar Josh Allen beef. I don't really get the fan base beef. Like, they got like real hate. Like, I'm not gonna lie, last week the Bills played the Chiefs, and they were talking crazy to Lamar fans. They didn't even care about Mahomes. I don't know what's going on with that situation. That is very, very weird to look at on the outside looking in. But I would say they're both great. Can't go too far on them. I'm not going to put too many teams in great or elite this week, to be real, because I think I've been too nice with some of these tiers. Buccaneers, This is the third week in a row where the offense has not been that great. I do think the injuries are starting to stack up. Baker's play is starting to kind of regress to the norm, I would say. I still think Baker is a top 10 quarterback for sure. I had him going into the year as a sixth best quarterback in the league, but today he wasn't that good. I'm going to be honest. I think that he had a lot of misses today. It was another game where he had a lot of misses. When he had time to throw, he still was having misses. I think in zone, he was cooking us. He was cooking us when we play zone, but I just don't. When the Patriots play zone, it's just a completely different defense. When they play man, especially press man, that's one of the best defenses in the league. And when the Patriots are playing their run defense, I'm gonna be honest, the Buccaneers actually had the best running day out of any team, I would say, so far, because they was consistently they were pretty consistently solid in the run. Now there was obviously those plays where they didn't get nothing, but the Patriots run defense has done that to everybody. They've been very good stopping the run. If you look at the Patriots last year, they couldn't stop nobody against the run. So, this was a Mike Vrabel game for sure. I do think on the other side, Todd Bowles cooked the mess out of McDaniels. I think he cooked the mess out of McDaniels. When it comes to the Buccaneers, there was plays where guys was actually open and either Baker missed the guy or it was just a straight up drop. It was more so. There was like 2 or 3 drops that really wasn't on Baker, but there were some throws where Baker was just missing throws. When they got to the clutch, I was really scared after that Drake made pick because I'm like, I've been saying all year, Baker been the best clutch team or best clutch quarterback in the league. But quiet as kept, the Patriots defense has been very clutch as well. This is the second week in a row. Well, I guess they didn't really get the job done last week against the Falcons, to be real. But I think that was a different situation with Gonzo being out at the end of the game. Now, I won't lie. You can say what you want about the Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers, if they was healthy, they probably do win this game. I think the game script will be a little bit different. I think that when the Patriots was up 21-10, McDaniels really got bad. It was bad. McDaniels got bad. It was bad. They got way too conservative. Now, this is going to be weird to say if you didn't watch the game and you just looked at the stats. The Patriots could not run the ball in this game. But Hendo had a 55-yard run, and he had a 69-yard run. But outside of those 2 runs, it was really kind of bad. Whether it was Terrell Jennings, who got hurt early on in this game, or Ernest Johnson, or Travion. But Travion had by far his best game of the season. And if you know Travion for Ohio State, he either is going to get those 1 yard. He don't really lose yards, to be real. That's one thing I do like about Hendo. But he don't really consistently get 5 yards. He's going to get 1 to 2 yards, or it's going to be a breakaway. It's going to be either 1 to 2 yards or it's going to be 10 plus. And he'll get about 2 of those 10 pluses a game. It's just that those 3 10 pluses today was 2 TDs and like a 15-yard play. So, hey, shout out to Hendo. Had his best game. Today was a rookie game. Because if you think about it, on the other side, you think about Farmer came in for Baltimore when he got injured. He was ridiculous when he came in. I think Kyle Williams stepping up for Booty. I'm going to be honest, I don't think I've seen a Patriots player have that type of speed on the outside since probably Brandon Cooks. I was thinking Randy Moss, but I forgot about Brandon Cooks. I think that this was a great youth game for the Patriots. But on the other side for the Buccaneers, like I said, I do think if they was healthier offensively, they could have probably had a better game. But I'm going to be real. The only reason I say that is because Gonzo, the way that you beat the Patriots right now is whoever Gonzo's not guarding, you just target that guy. I think Taz was actually solid. Shepard was kind of questionable for the most part in this game. Igbuka was pretty. It's Igbuka. If you've been watching him this year, he's been good. But I do think Gonzo did a pretty good job on him when he was guarding him. People going to look at the end of the game and say he had 6 catches, 116 yards. Like you say, Gonzo was good. Gonzo only allowed 4 catches, and 2 of them was zone. Gonzo was actually, again, Gonzo. He was, again, Gonzo. If he's impressed, man, good luck. Only person I seen really beat him in press man was where it was down the sideline. Very good defense the whole way. 50-50 jump ball against a 6'5 Drake London. That's what his game is. And he not only goes up and catches it, plays pretty good defense in the air, but he comes down on Gonzo and Gonzo gets injured. So I think that's the only real play I've seen Gonzo really get beat bad. I think Igbuka had a good play today on a route where he did an out route where Gonzo was playing, I guess, off coverage. He was playing like 10 yards off, and he just does an out route. He just beats him on that. So I think that was a good route, but outside of that, it really wasn't much to speak on between the matchup. I think when you're playing the Patriots, if you're C man, you have to target Carlton Davis because it's either going to be a flag or he's just going to get beat. That's, in my opinion, the way you beat him. I do think our safety got injured. Craig Wilson was very good in this game. The Patriots had a very good game from a lot of rookies. A very, very good game from a lot of rookies. But no matter how I want to speak on it, I just don't think the Buccaneers was that good today. I still would say the Buccaneers offense for the season has been great, though. I think for the season it's been great. It's the reason why Baker was in MVP convos. I do think that he kind of was a little overrated in some of these games, but if you think about it, the reason why people would say he's the MVP is they've dealt with injuries all season, and at the end of games, he's been ridiculous every game. And he probably has the best game out of any quarterback in that game against the Seahawks, especially looking back at how good the Seahawks have been. They couldn't stop him. So I still think Baker's been very good. I think he's just kind of regressing to the norm now. Very enjoyable player to watch, but yeah. Then we have the Patriots offense. The Buccaneers defense actually had a pretty good play calling, situational defense. I think first half, they were trying to do blitzes. This is what I'm saying when it comes to certain quarterbacks. Drake Maye in that first half was very good against the blitz. Now, I think early on, first quarter, now this was actually this is another thing to mention. This was a very big game because I wanted to see how Drake Maye would play in different weather. Because I don't know if y'all know this, the Patriots have to play in weather. Whether it be snow, extremely cold, windy, sometimes rain. It's just what it is. So I need to see how he's going to play in these type of weathers because we don't play in a dome. We play outdoors, and that's going to be part of our home field advantage. Teams have to come and play in that. But we need our quarterback to actually be good in that. And Drake Maye's been very good this year. But he had a very rocky start to the game in this game because of it was raining. Now, I don't know what was going on in this game. Buccaneers had a drive. There was no rain. As soon as Patriots get on the field, it starts raining. As soon as the Patriots punt, it stopped raining. And then it kind of started being a little calm, but the field conditions was pretty rough for the most part the whole game. But the first two drives from Drake, this is another game where Drake Maye probably had, I think last week I counted about 5 or 6 mistakes. This week this is probably the most missed throws he's had all year. Even in the Raiders, he had just like he was missing in the Raiders, but these were like misses. So I do think weather had a little bit to do with that, but for the most part, Drake Maye was still making Drake Maye plays for the most. After the first quarter. If you talk about the first quarter, I don't want to hate too much on that last drive where he threw the pick because if you look at the throw he had before that, that was probably the throw of the day for any quarterback. That throw was ridiculous. And he also had another throw where he evaded a sack perfectly and he literally had 4 people within 1 yard on him on a crucial third down in this game, and he got it. Now, there was another third down that he got that they didn't give it to him because I don't know what's going on with forward progress, but he didn't somehow Matt Collins didn't get that. But for the most part, for Drake standards, he low-key had a bad game. But if we just talking about an actual grade for the game for him, it would probably be a B. I think Drake Maye was still pretty good. That pick at the end of the game did a lot of heavy lifting for how. Like, if he doesn't have that pick, even with the bad start, he probably gets an A. But that pick genuinely gave the Buccaneers a chance to win, and it could have lost them the game. It probably should have lost them the game, but if you've been watching the Patriots defense this year, it's not that surprising. But I do think, I have been kind of saying that I think that Vrabel has been a very, 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 very good coach for the Patriots. But these last 2 weeks have really made the case for Vrabel to get that coach of the year because this is the difference between Gerard Mayo. Now, obviously, the difference between Gerard Mayo and him is that instead of having these close games against bad teams, we're now blowing those teams out. But when we're playing good teams and those margins from winning and losing, we're now doing those margins to win. We're finding ways to win games instead of finding ways to lose. And as a fan, that's amazing. But you can see the sheer difference in coaching, the involvement defensively that Vrabel has been. I've said, I don't know if he's like a guru or anything. He's definitely very good defensively. He has them prepared to play defensively, for sure. I do think that there's some holes that the Patriots definitely got to fill up in the offseason or whatever we're going to do. I don't think that the Patriots are like a contender, to be real. I think the Patriots are good, but I don't think they're like a real contender, to be honest, as a Patriots fan. But I am enjoying what I'm seeing. And, yeah, and with the Bills losing today, it does a lot for them. It's kind of tough to not say the Patriots have been great this year offensively. They've been very consistent. They haven't had to really play When they play good teams, they still score points. When they play top defenses, they still score points. They only had those 2 rocky games to start the season against the Raiders and the Steelers. You really be real about those games. If you watch those games, they really could be 10-0 right now, which is crazy. They could genuinely be 10-0, but those were like the early, I guess you could say. I really didn't know how to feel about us losing those games. We're not starting to win those games. So I'm going to say I probably would have to say the Ravens and the Bills have been better than the Patriots, but I would say the Patriots and the Buccaneers are pretty relative, especially with the Buccaneers starting to get injured offensively. But I do think if the Bucs were healthier, they would be higher than us. But I do think another thing, the last 2 weeks, once Booty got hurt in that Falcons game, completely different game out of Drake Maye. Today, you can see it. Completion percentage nowhere near the level of what Drake May's been doing all year. I do think the rain was a big thing with that, but I do think Booty not being out there is another thing with that too. So shout out to Drake Maye. Another solid game, but he did make more mistakes than he's kind of made all year. So you got to give a lot of credit to Bowles. But I do also think McDaniels in that second half was very, very bad. But he did have his good moments, but he was very bad in that second half. I'm not going to lie. Like, it just was too conservative at a lot of points of the game where it was just too many 30 and longs. Drake Maye was having to bail us out too many times. And one time we did get bailed out, and the ref just kind of gave us a bad spot. But when you can't leave it to chance in those situations, personally, we did that too much. And I think that we had control of the game the whole second half, especially after that, how we managed to. By the way, that's another thing we got to talk about. That's another thing that we got to talk about with Vrabel. That end of the first half management. Hey, man, that's top 5 coaching stuff right there, bro. The way that they went out there to make sure to drain every time out that the Buccaneers had. Now, going to 4th down, I don't think they did that on purpose. But I do think to drain the clock as much, even before it was literally like they had that last time out, when it was on the 1-yard line, for them to be going down the field, wasting that much clock, taking all of their timeouts. They did like I know somebody said that the execution on that, bro, he just tried to not lose no yards. They didn't want to get in the zone. They wanted to drain that last time out. Now, after that, every play after that, they tried to get in the zone for sure. I don't think that they did it on purpose for it to, go to the 4th down and no time being left. But it ended up working out perfectly because in the second half, they flip it and get a touchdown instantly. It's like a 14-0 turnaround. Baker was off the field forever at that point. I think that was amazing coaching. So, you got to give Rabes another credit on that one. Let's keep moving. Then we got the 3 o'clock games. Every game was a blowout. I do think the Cardinals have been better with Brissett. They finally get a loss where they lose but more than one score. I do think if Brissett played a little bit more of these games, they probably win. But today, I'm telling y'all, Seattle's been getting better on both sides every week. I think today, the only thing about Drake Maye MVP shout is his competition, in my opinion. Josh Allen, I didn't really get. I seen that he was a favorite. I didn't really get how he was ridiculous last week against the Chiefs. But I don't think that one game should have put him in the leader when you have Darnold, Maye playing the way they playing, Stafford playing the way he's playing. I just didn't really get that. JSN, I didn't really get it personally. I didn't have him over any of those 5 guys personally. But Darnold, forever you want to talk about Drake Maye play today, Darnold had a very, very interesting game today. It was at a point where he had like 3 straight possessions where it just was like, I don't know what's going on here. And the game was over. Like, that's another thing that made no sense to me with the Seahawks. It was like they was trying to, I don't even know if they was trying to troll him or anything, but like it looked like Jet Sam Darnold on some of them plays. Like, to be real, like that fumble was literally a Jet Sam Darnold seeing ghost type play. I don't really understand what was going on there. And by the way, the Cardinals have a good defense. I want y'all to understand this. But the Seahawks clearly took their foot off the gas after like the first quarter. Like, bro, it was like 28-0 in the first. It was like 35-0 with like 11 minutes left in the second, I want to say. Bro, game was over. But like, Darnold, he kind of just trolled his MVP campaign with some of the things he did in this game. Like, he just goes out there and whatever he did in the first quarter just didn't do anything the rest of the game, and just couldn't even sub him. He probably looks better in the MVP race right now, but I don't really understand like what was going on, bro, in that second quarter. He was tripping. He was genuinely tripping. I don't know what's going on. And I've been really high on Darnold all year, but this was very, very odd. Really kind of scares me if I'm a Seahawks fan because they got 2 free touchdowns defensively, but that was just great. I'm going to be honest, this defense is genuinely, Baby Belichick is looking crazy this year. This defense is looking phenomenal. JSN, another very good game. Didn't really have to do anything. Outside of 2 drives, JSN didn't do anything. He did literally what JSN did is all Sam Darnold had to do. Outside of 2 drives, he didn't have to do anything. I don't know why he was doing some of the things he was doing, but it is what it is. Seahawks are clearly elite offense. Clearly, the only issue with the Seahawks offense is the fact that they like can't run the ball consistently. But that's a clear elite offense. It's not really debatable. Cardinals, on the other hand, mid for sure. Mid for sure. Marv had like 12 targets, 3 catches. Yeah, I feel like we gotta start. If you play the Cowboys, we gotta put a full red line across that whole stat line. A full red line. If you don't hoop against the Cowboys, it's really more so of an indictment at this point. So, yeah. But I do think some of these running backs may have tougher games with Quentin Williams getting added, but I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. I know Cowboys love that pickup, but Cowboys fans love that pickup, but I don't think that's going to make that big a difference because I don't think the Cowboys defense up the middle, run defense hasn't been that bad. Because I actually like that linebacker that they got too. But outside of that, you can still run on the outside. You can still pass all over them. I don't think it's going to make that big a difference, to be real. But we'll see. Hopefully it does for their sake, but for my sake, because I'm going to keep it moving. Cardinals. Where am I going to put y'all? I'll put the Cardinals here. I do think the Cardinals have been better than what their record has shown, but today they showcase why their record is what it is. So, let's keep moving. And then we have the Commanders. It's just what it is, man. The Commanders have just been did dirty all year offensively. With all these injuries, it just keeps getting worse and worse. Apparently, JD may come back this year. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna be real, man. If you're a Commanders fan, take your high pick, let JD get healthy, move on to next year, man. Get you a good pick in this draft, move on to next year, bro. If you can get a premier edge rusher in this draft, that does more for you than trying to win out these games. Because if the Commanders get a premier edge rusher, that's going to be a good defense. That's going to be a way better defense than what it is right now. So that's literally all they're missing right now is a premier edge. I mean, obviously they need more than just that. But I do think in that front seven, if they just had a real edge rusher, they would be a lot better right now. Secondary could be better for sure, but it's a lot of ways to fix that in my opinion. And they can go about doing that this offseason. I would say the Commanders, they around mid. They just mid. Lions, elite. It's not really much of a debate. One of the elite offenses in the league. They score points on everybody. They even had a pretty good game against the Chiefs, even though I think the Chiefs defense was pretty good in that game. They score on everybody. I think the Lions have been elite. The only teams that they really struggled with was the Chiefs and the Vikings. And I guess they do have 3 games that's questionable. But for the most part, I would say elite. 49ers. Honestly, I would probably say elite over the Seahawks because they actually have a run game. So, yeah. 49ers. 49ers have actually been pretty good. I'll put them above the Broncos. With all the injuries they've had, I think the play calling on both sides has been phenomenal. They had another good offensive game against the Rams. They just couldn't get stops. And the Rams team on paper, I've been talking about this for a while. The Rams team is that team is just stupid. It's just a stupid team. So, it's not really much of a knock on the 49ers with all the injuries that they do have defensively. I'm pretty sure their entire starting D-line is out. Fred Warner's out. It's not much you can do in that situation at that point. Because you're not getting no pressure. You're going against Davante Adams and Puka. You still got to stop Kyron. I just don't really. And Matthew Stafford, like I said earlier, is playing like an MVP. Now, the thing with Matthew Stafford MVP is the fact that he has Puka, Kyron, you know what I'm saying, Davante Adams. So it's kind of different. Sam Darnold has JSN, Drake Maye has Booty, Stephon Diggs. So it's I just think Drake Maye is dealing with not nearly the same situations as the other two. Where I actually do give Darnold credit because outside of JSN, he don't have crazy weapons. I like Torrey Horton though. I do like him. But I don't think it's been crazy. I think that the Seahawks, especially when you think about the Seahawks and Patriots, their run game has been awful so far this year to start the season. I think the Patriots, if Hendo can start getting going the way he did, and a lot of people actually have a lot to say about Hendo not getting snaps. If you watch the Patriots, Hendo has not been good this year. He's gotten better every week, and you got to give him credit for that, his improvement. But to act like he's always been this good this whole year, like I had my hopes up in preseason just like everybody else because he was looking very good. But throughout the season, if you watch these games, he's been when he's got his opportunities, he's been okay. He's been okay. It's not really been anything to showcase that he should just auto get the touches because run blocking, he's supposed to be an elite run block or not run block, pass blocker. He has not been good in that. He's gotten better with that every week as well. So I think that people need to calm down. He is a rookie at the end of the day, bro. It's not crazy for people to improve as they get more comfortable in the league, and he has done that. Now, if you want to say now he should get the starter after this game, I can understand it. But before this game, he was very, very rocky, in my opinion. Rams, it's not much to say here. I don't know what it is. For some reason, I feel like the Seahawks has been more consistent than the Rams. But the Rams play calling, design, scheme, we know what this is going to be with McVay. One of the best minds in football. But outside of that, the talent on this offense is ridiculous. You have arguably a top 3 quarterback playing so far this year in Matthew Stafford. Whether you want to say he's 1, 2, or 3, I don't really care. But he's been ridiculous this year so far. When you want to talk about the wide receiver duo, he has the best wide receiver duo on this team. When you talk about the O-line has been good. Kyron has been good. Blake Corum has been good when he's gotten opportunities. He's been very inconsistent. He has some fumbles as well. But he's been okay when he's gotten his opportunity, I would actually say. But for the most part, this Rams offense has been elite. Puka has missed some games where, you know what I'm saying, the offense does get a little rocky. I won't lie. But I will say that the Rams have been a little bit more consistently good than a lot of these other teams. So I would say they're elite. Next we have the Steelers. Steelers are mid. I'll put the Steelers right here. The Steelers are just they're the most obvious mid offense I've ever seen in my life. And now with Jalen Warren getting less snaps, I don't think this offense is gonna be that good because for whatever reason, I actually thought Caleb Johnson would work for them based off what his profile was and what he was supposed to be coming into the draft. But he has not been good when he's gotten opportunities. This is now, I don't know how many times this is now for him, to be real. What is it? I don't know how many games he's played in total. But let me make sure I'm getting this right. Like, yeah, you got Caleb Johnson, who was didn't play that good. Gainwell, who was like their third down running back again. And yeah, the weapons on the outside has just not been that crazy either. So they also had a pretty big penalty on DK that just went uncalled, which was kind of funny, bro. Like Duran just straight up hit stick, bro, on a I don't know if it was a post or a slant, but bro, I don't know what was going on there with the refs. That was crazy, but yeah, regardless, this offense is mid. This is a team that steals wins. They've done it all year, and you got to give Mike Tomlin a lot of credit for it. But like I said in that coach video, at some point, does Mike Tomlin, is he just too good of a coach to the point that he hurts his team? Because this is a team that needs to lose games to get talent offensively. Because by the way, defensively, this is the highest paid team defensively in the league. It has to be. It's not. It genuinely has to be the highest paid team defensively in the league. So the fact that this team is giving up points the way that they did this week is not ideal. But offensively, they just need talent, bro. And I don't even think Aaron Rodgers has been that bad this year. This is probably his worst game of the season for real. But they just need talent offensively. So, yeah. And then we have the Chargers. Chargers are either here or here. I think you can say Herbert has been good enough for them to be great. Because his passing game has been for sure elite. It's just the running game with all the injuries they've had on the O-line and running backs. They pretty much the two best running backs have been out for majority of the year, and it's just not been consistent. Today they had a solid running game against the Steelers, but it's just not been consistent. I would say they've been great. And then we can do the bye weeks, I guess. The bye week teams, the Titans. I don't think this needs to be discussed too much. Probably put the Jets under them, though. The Bengals, I would probably say the Bengals have been great. I would probably say the Bengals have been right there, to be real. Honestly, probably say the the Patriots been more consistent than the Bengals though. Probably put the Buccaneers above them. The Bengals have had some pretty bad games early on in the year when they was playing, bro. But you gotta think about it. They're on their third quarterback with Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco's been pretty solid for them though. But I'll still say they're great. I should put the Bengals at the back, I guess, to be fair. No, Chargers might be good. Chargers might be good, just in general. Cowboys been elite. They've had their rocky games the last 2 weeks, and they had the Bears game. But I just think the margin for error this offense has is just like their defense is not getting stops. So when their defense is letting teams have long drives, when your offense gets stopped 1 or 2 times, now those 1 or 2 times are just a little bit more impactful. So I might actually say the Cowboys are still elite. It's just they have literally no defense. Like no fight back. Like I know Ravens fans can try to get this one off early in the season, but the Ravens defense has not been bad for since the Rams game. The Ravens defense has not been bad at all. It's actually been pretty solid. So I just don't think it's really comparable. Buccaneers fans, you could say at one point y'all had injuries, but the Cowboys have been the worst defense in the league the whole season. Every week 1 to week 9, they had a bye week in week 10. They've been the worst defense in the league, bro. It's just what it is. The only game they showed any type of potential was against the Jets. You can see where the Jets are. So, yeah, man. I think the Cowboys, for what margin of error they have offensively, I still will say they're elite, personally. I might have to give the Ravens the edge over because of that, too, because when you think about Lamar, I think I probably will because of that context. Next, we have the Packers. Might gotta lower the Bills, but the Bills do be scoring points. That's the thing with the Bills. They score points regardless. So, but I do think a lot of that is due to just 2 guys doing stuff. But you could say the same thing for the Seahawks. But I do think the Seahawks just have a little bit more talent overall. Like, they don't have a good run game, but they have 2 good running backs. If that makes sense. Then we have the Chiefs. Chiefs have been elite. Stamped elite. They've been elite. Now, let's put these in order. For the top tier, I think everything else is pretty much in order for the good, the mid, the trash, the elite, Colts. Who do I think has been the best offense in the league so far? The Seahawks been putting up points against everybody, man. Like I said last week, the Seahawks I think that was a good shout looking back that they played like the best team so far. If we talking about, especially when you think about the Lions lost last week. The Chiefs lost last week. I had to put somebody that won, I would say, in my opinion. Based off that, I think Seahawks was a good pick, to be real. And then we talking about the offenses. It might be the Lions, to be real. Because even last week in the loss, they had 24 points. That's not a terrible offensive game, if I'm honest. This week they put up 44 just like the Seahawks. Lions the week before that, I think they had a bye week. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they had a bye week, week 8. How many points they put up week before? I think this is when they played the Chiefs. No, they played the Buccaneers. They put up 24 that week. That wasn't that great of a game either. I don't know if I'm putting them. Okay, let's go back. I don't think I'm putting them at the top. So we low-key can lower them. I don't think they've been better than... They've probably been better than the Ravens. I don't think they've been better than the Cowboys. I don't think... The Rams probably got to come back here too. Let's look at the Seahawks. I know they put up a lot of points the last 2 weeks for sure. Yeah, they put up 38 against a solid defense, in my opinion, the Commanders, to be real, too. Like, the thing is, I think that they put up points against some solid defenses these last 2 weeks. Like, I think the Cardinals are pretty solid defense. So, yeah. And then the week before that, I think they had a bye. The week before that, they played the Texans, who are arguably... Seahawks might be the number 1. Bro, putting up 27 points on the Texans is a feat. The week before that, they played the Jaguars. That's probably their worst offensive performance since week 1. Week before that, week 5, the Seahawks, who did they play? 35 points against, that was a crazy game against the Buccaneers. Week before that, Seahawks, who did they play? They played the Cardinals, 23 points. Okay. I'll probably bring the Seahawks right here. Then we have the Colts. It's probably going to be the Colts. It probably just going to be the Colts. I got to be real. Because the Cowboys have 3 rocky games. I don't think they... Low-key, the Chiefs probably should go down here, to be real. Because they had a rocky start, but with Rice, that is a different offense. But the last game they played was pretty bad, to be honest, against the Bills. But I do think the Bills' defense was just fantastic in that game. I won't lie. Very clutch. But it probably just got to be the Colts, man. It probably actually just has to be the Colts. It's either the Colts... Low-key, though. I want to buy in early on the Rams. I think the Rams probably actually have the actual real best offense in terms of the hardest offense to stop in the league right now. But Davante Adams did get injured. But if this team is fully healthy, with Tay on the outside, Pook on the outside, Stafford at quarterback, offensive line looking like that, run game being good, it's less avenues to beat this team than it is to beat the Colts. But the Colts have a good O-line. JT looking like the best player in football this year. The weapons on the outside, I do think that you could scrutinize the weapons. Like, I like Josh Downs. I like Alec Pierce. I'm not a big Michael Pittman guy, I'm going to be honest. They traded A.D. Mitchell, to be honest. So, I do think the weapons, they got a 50-50 guy that can also, you know what I'm saying, play underneath in Michael Pittman. Josh Downs is their slot guy. Alec Pierce is their intermediate deep shot guy. You know what I'm saying? They got guys that fit in roles, but I don't think that they're weapons on the outside or CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they have a Dak Prescott level quarterback. Offensive line, probably the best out of the 4, if you want to include the Seahawks. Probably the best O-line in the league, low-key. Not even probably. It is the best O-line. Who else would even be in a convo for them? Thinking about it. The Eagles probably up there. The Lions probably up there. The Bills pass blocking O-line probably up there. I don't think it's as good run blocking as it is Pat. But the run blocking, Bills probably are up there too. Bills actually might be the second best O-line. Oh, the Broncos are up there too. Broncos have a really good O-line. Okay, but I probably say the Colts got the best one. Colts probably got the best one. And that gives you a really good floor for your overall offense. Because it's going to be hard to get pressure. And you got good running lanes. Their running lanes are crazy. I'm going to actually have to go Colts. I'm going to have to go Colts. I'm gonna actually have to go Colts. I'm gonna put the Rams right there, but I'm gonna have to go Colts, and that's my tier list of the team so far. And then we got to talk about the Packers and the Eagles tomorrow after their game. Okay, we're doing an offense tier list. There was no offense played tonight, to be real. Pretty bad performances offensively, but defensively, very, very good performances. Big LaFleur guy, but this was not great today, to be real. Only person that really did anything for the most part was really Jacobs, if you was watching the game. But let's talk about it. Overall this season, Packers have been pretty inconsistent offensively. It just is what it is. I don't know why. I don't really get it. The play calling is there. I like the quarterback. I like the running back. The weapons on the outside have always been a question mark. But the more I watch these games, I just don't really fully believe in it. It's not been enough for me yet. I'm actually have to lower the Bengals. The defense does. It's kind of similar to the Cowboys. Like, their margin for error is just so low. I probably got to keep them up there. I must say the Packers, it kind of does feel unfair to put them in that same tier as good. If I can, the thing is, these two teams probably just got to go up. Probably just raise both of those two teams. And I probably have to put the Packers right there. I think they've been great. It's just inconsistent. To drive consistency all year have been inconsistent, but they put up points for the most part because they just have that good of play calling regardless. I still think their quarterback is good, but the last 2 weeks he has not been good. And the weapons on the outside is just, they got players for every type of situation. It's just no marquee guy, to be honest. And Dobbs gets hurt in this game. I think when Reed gets back, it's going to be a little bit more clarified in terms of the roles. They got guys trying to play roles that's kind of young, I guess. But for the most part, Golden out, Dobbs gets hurt, Reed's out. I kind of get it, but it's just not been that good the last 2 weeks, man, to be real. 7 points this week against the Eagles. Last week you had what happened against the Panthers. It's just building up at this point. Like, it's just building up. And it's kind of been an all-season thing where it'd be inconsistent. They still put up points, and I give it to them. It's kind of just giving me a little bit of Bills, but at least the Bills, they really only got 1 week of this for real where it's this bad against the Dolphins for the most part, they've still putting up points every week. It's just been drive to drive, kind of inconsistent, and it kind of depend on methodical. The Packers, they don't have anything consistent. At least the Bills have consistency in terms of how much they can move the ball methodically. They just don't have anything deep. The Packers don't really have anything going for them consistently. So I don't really know how to really gauge them. I do think that their play calling is good. They have one of the better quarterbacks, one of the better running games. But it's just, even with all this so far this year, it has not been consistent. Then the Eagles, another thing. They really don't even have the run game this year with Saquon. Saquon has just not been nowhere near as good as last year. Now, I do think the game plans that teams have against them, they are stacking these boxes. It's not, you're really rarely going to see 8 or less people in the box. You saw that against the Giants. Saquon was very good in that game. He was probably getting at most 7 people in the box, but that's just how the Giants like to play. They like to put a lot of guys at the line of scrimmage and just show blitzes and maybe drop guys, but that's not going to really work against a team like the Eagles, to be honest, that just want to out-physical you at the line of scrimmage. So I can understand why he went off in that game, and then the rest of the season has just not been great. When you look at this game, though, I don't know if this is a Hurts issue anymore because I don't think he's played that well in some of these games. I think some games he has played well. But even in the games he's played well, a lot of times it feels like Hurts is having to tell people go down the field. I just don't really understand what we're doing in an offense where you know teams are going to stack the box. That means a lot of people are going to be biting down at the line of scrimmage. Play action over the top should be something that you can take advantage of. Is Hurts the best quarterback throwing the ball down the field? In my opinion, no. I know a lot of Eagles fans will probably disagree with that and say yes. I think even the Davante Smith touchdown today, he just beats him. And he underthrows it a little bit, but it was enough room to, like, the margin for error on the throw was just enough that it didn't even really matter. I don't think that's a crazy throw. I think he's just open. And he makes a play on the ball. It don't really matter. And then you see at the end of the game with A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown beats him again. He underthrows the ball. Now, I do think that there's a clear difference on the effort of the wide receivers on both of those plays. If I'm a Philly fan, 4th down, I'm going to be honest, I do think it's a bad ball, but at the same time, I would like to see more effort. Maybe if he throws more effort into getting the ball, he might get a flag there. I don't know. But I just don't really understand why this team doesn't want to take the top off the field more. And when they try to do it, it seems to work. So, I don't really understand how it's even a hard... Kellen Moore he's a good offensive mind, but going from Shane Steichen to what happened the year after, it shouldn't happen. Going from Kellen Moore to what's happening this year offensively, it shouldn't happen. It is a very easy job. Saquon is not playing to that level of last year where he can bail you out even if you don't look that good in the passing game like I would say last year they were. But if people are playing down at the line of scrimmage like this, I just don't really see how you could even have these issues in the pass game that they have personally. I get the run game because the O-line, they got to deal with so much. Saquon got to deal with all these stat boxes so consistently. And you can see the frustration come in with Saquon in the end of this game. Last year, if you watched the Eagles, a lot of these games, Saquon wouldn't even be going too crazy until the end of the game. He would just end the game. He would end the game. You knew the Eagles was going to run the ball, and Saquon would break one. It's just not happening this year because teams are legitimately stacking the blocks and saying you're not going to be able to do this. You're just not. And they're taking that entire point of the game away from the Eagles, and it's just really tough. So, I don't know. And they even had another play today where they had the little tush push. They got a first down. It was a clear flag. I don't really have a problem with the play. I don't think anyone executes the play to the same level as the Eagles. But if it gets to the point that the team that executes it by far the best is getting away with flags consistently all throughout the year, now it's like, bro, we just got to get rid of the play, bro. They're spamming it now, too. I think there was a game where they did it 4 straight times. It's getting kind of egregious. I don't really understand. I think the Eagles should be a lot better than this. Offensive line, top 5 in the league. Running back. You could argue Saquon ain't been a top 5 running back this year in terms of production, but Saquon is still a top 5 running back in the league. Weapons on the outside, I think that's a top 5 duo in the league. Goddard actually been pretty good this year. Hurts, a lot of Eagles fans have him top 5. So it's it don't really make sense for this team to be as inconsistent as it's been offensively. I would say it's around here. I'm actually lower the Packers to here. I think them and the Jaguars are actually very comparable in terms of the production they've put up this year. But yeah, that would be my offensive tier list based off the teams. I didn't think either one of these teams had a shout to be in the best, but I thought the Packers could have been elite. But to go ahead and bounce off of what you did last week against the Panthers, you could have had a good. This would have been a good game to showcase that this is a real elite offense, and this was a bad performance, a very very bad performance. Where I do think, honestly, another thing about the Eagles that kind of just thrown me off, the Packers have shown flaws in this defense the past couple weeks as well, because the cornerback room is just not really that good. You can take advantage of them on passes if you get one-on-ones with those cornerbacks. And they was getting those, and they still couldn't really move the ball, passing the ball, which is just insane to me. But this is my offense tier list. Y'all do want more? Like the video. Next week, we're going to do the defense, and then we'll see what we do from there. Like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff out the way, man. It's your boy Fitz, man. Appreciate it. Your boy Fitz, I'm out of here.